Welcome to the Jungle Discipleship School Podcast. Greetings from Denver, Colorado. My name is David Small, and I'm going to be your host on this episode of the Jungle Discipleship School Podcast. So thanks for being with us. Thanks for tuning in and sticking with us. And here I am, Denver, Lakewood actually, but the same thing in Colorado. Beautiful weather today, beautiful place here. It's great to be back in the mountains. Just a beautiful time. And here doing some counseling work with Restoring the Soul, which I'll talk about in just a minute here. They're such a great organization, and I just love my time here with them. And we spend a week. They run a different kind of counseling model where they call it an intensive, and you come for 1 week, or they have a 1 week program or a 2 week program, and you're basically for half of the day, every single day, you're in counseling and working through your crap, working through your life. And today I was thinking about there's like a brand, some sort of, I think it's a clothing brand, or I don't even know what they are, but they have this brand, and there's this saying from this brand that we stole at JDS. And at JDS we have flags that we hang around our classroom. We call them culture flags, and they're just to build a culture around some of the things that we value. And one of these flags that I made, I kind of stole it from this brand. And the saying is, everyone wants to eat, but few will hunt. And the idea behind this is, we want something, but very few of us are actually willing to put in the work. And I was reminded of that flag this morning as I was in counseling, and we were working through some memories and working through some trauma and different things like that. And I remember just thinking to myself, this sucks. I hate this. Like, this is hard. I don't want to do this. I'd rather just put on TV and watch The Office and just forget about all these things in my life. And then I was reminded of that flag that, I hammer on with the students all year long. Hey, everyone wants to eat, but few will hunt. And thinking like, okay, if I want to be a better leader, if I want to be a more whole and complete person, if I want to have healing in the trauma that I've experienced in my life and experienced in Burma, if I want these things, if I want to be healthy in my life, I need to do the work. And this is the place to do the work. And so, it's always holy ground here in Colorado. I flew over and I arrived in North America on Saturday morning and got to have breakfast with my cousin in Vancouver before flying down to Denver. And just the last couple days, I don't know what the deal is, but my lower back has just completely locked up. Like this morning, I could hardly get out of bed. Like it took 3 or 4 attempts to get out of bed, and it was like the kind of intense back pain that takes your breath away and you can't think or do anything. And it's been really kind of brutal. And so I drove around and found a chiropractor this morning, and I was able to get an adjustment. But the chiropractor, he said like, oh man, I don't even know how you're functioning right now, because it was really, everything's really locked up. And as I predicted, I've been to chiropractors before, and as I predicted, I thought this is probably going to take a few adjustments. And he was like, yeah, you're going to need to come back in a day or two to get this done again. And said there's a ton of inflammation and just things are all locked up in my lower back. And it's just really frustrating. I've had, and that leads me into kind of what I wanted to talk about and where I wanted to go today, which is to talk about food. I love food, and talking about food is one of my favorite things, and even more than talking about food, eating food is one of my favorite things to do. And as I come back to North America every summer, I am really frustrated because I gain 5 or 6 kilos of weight every summer. Like, I turn into a little Oompa Loompa every time I come back. And so this summer when I came back, I had this kind of mindset of like, okay, I need to make better nutrition food choices and I need to do more exercise. And I've been all gung ho to do that. Except I've been like just in so much pain from my back that I haven't been able to do any exercise. And yeah, it's just been like food, I'm living in a hotel room right now. So it's like you're eating takeout. It's not the best option, but so I'm not off to a very good start with my summer plan, but I'm hoping I'll see the chiropractor again on Wednesday. And I'm hoping that I can get this just sorted out, and then I can get back into a good rhythm of exercising. And I would really just appreciate your prayers for my back, because it's hard to do any work or focus on anything. And yeah, and so food, there's this photo that I just really love, and it's me. It's a photo of me, and I'll post it on the social media. When I'm advertising for this episode of the podcast, I'll put that up. I'll try to put that photo up there. And it's me as a 3-year-old staring with these big eyes at this amazing chocolate cake. And this photo cracks me up because from such an early age, I had this just exuberance and this love of amazing, rich food. And I've eaten some meals. I lived in Italy for 2 years, and I have friends that own vineyards and pizzerias, and I have friends that work with cheesemakers and butchers, where we've been able to eat like this incredible cheese and pastas and meats that are just so fresh. And I've had these meals in Italy that bring tears to your eyes because they're so incredible. And, Thai food is incredible. And I find that when I come back to North America, I have this craving for Thai food and Asian food. And so this is maybe my 3rd or 4th summer in a row where I start my return to North America by coming to Denver and spending time here at this counseling center. And so I always stay in the same little area in one of the hotels right around here. And I've gotten to know the neighborhood, and there's this Thai place. It's called Bangkok Thai Food in Lakewood. And it's got just great, delicious Thai food. And the owner is Thai, and it's so funny. I was in there yesterday and today, and I basically ordered dinner there every night that I'm here. And the owner is Thai, and so I speak to her in Thai, and she just gets such a kick out of it. She just loves it. And at first, when I walked in, and I said, "Oh, are you Thai?" Because often in Thai restaurants in North America, they're not actually Thai; they're Vietnamese or another Southeast Asian ethnic. And so I always kind of check before I just start speaking Thai. And she said, yeah, no, I'm Thai. I'm from Bangkok. And so then I started speaking Thai, and it always just to gives them, they have to like do a second take. Like, wait, who is this big white guy who's just walked in and now he's speaking Thai to me? And so they always get such a kick out of it. And then this evening I went in to order my food, and the lady and I are laughing, and there's a young guy who's kind of behind the counter writing my order down, and she starts making fun of him, and she says, "Oh, he can't understand us when we're speaking Thai because he's not Thai." And I said, "Oh, where are you from?" And he said, "Oh, Burma." And so then I started speaking. I just switched from Thai to Burmese, and I thought this kid was going to like fall over, because he just was like, wait, what's going on here? First of all, there's this white guy speaking Thai to the lady, and this is a little bit mind-boggling. And then he just switches on an instant and starts speaking in Burmese to me. And he was like, what? how do you know Burmese, and how can you speak Thai? And I picked up my I picked up my Thai food, and I gave him a little wink, and I said, I'm a secret agent. And then I just walked out, and he like, I could just see the look on his face, like, is this real? What's going on here? Is this true or not? Who is this guy? And then next to the Thai food restaurant, just in the same little parking lot, there's this place, and and this place is like, I don't know how this place still exists in this day and age. It's called Granny Scott's Pies, and it's literally this shop that just sells pie, and the most incredible slices, the most delicious pie. And so in Thailand and Burma, you don't get a lot of pie. That's not a thing that you eat. And so I always place my order for the Thai food, and then I drive over or walk over to across the parking lot. I get a slice of pie, and you can just totally tell that this place is like, grandma started this place, and then it just kept the business going, and the kids and the grandkids all work there. And you can all tell that there's some sort of, I don't think they're Mennonite, but you can just tell that they're like people of faith and just salt of the earth people, beautiful people that work there. They've always got these young students. You can tell they're all like cousins or related or anyways. And the pie is just incredible. It's delicious. This evening I had a chocolate mousse pie. Oh my goodness. Amazing. And anyways, I find when I'm in North America, I actually I don't want to eat steak. I don't want to eat like hamburgers and pasta and these kind of things. I actually just really want to eat rice. I want to eat food from Southeast Asia. And then I find when I'm actually in Thailand, more often than not, I actually want to eat Western food. I want to eat a hamburger or a pasta or a nice sandwich of some sort. And I realized this last year, actually here in counseling a year ago. We were talking about this and talking about my weight fluctuating so much. And the counselor just kind of pointed out, like, you're constantly looking for a feeling of comfort, of you're looking for a place of home. And where is home? And when you're in Southeast Asia, when I'm in Southeast Asia, it's never really going to be home for me. No matter how much Thai I know, no matter how much Burmese I know, no matter how long I stay there, I will always be a white guy. I will always be an outsider. And then when I come back here to North America, increasingly, year after year, more and more, I just think this whole continent has gone off the deep end. Like, it's gone nuts. And I feel like I cannot connect with anybody. And it's so difficult here. Like, that's not true. I have awesome, amazing friends here. And I definitely connect with them. But with the average person here, it just feels so difficult to have any sort of ability to have a conversation where they can relate to me and I can relate to them. And even I went to church on Sunday here in Lakewood, and it was a beautiful service, a Father's Day, blah, 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 blah. But this, like, I just thought to myself, like, man, this church, everything in this church is absolutely perfect. And right now I've got some financial problems and just out of money, basically, and we're running a training and a medicine request and some big expenses. And so I'm out of money. And I was just thinking, like, this church could pay for all the needs of the Jungle Discipleship School, and they wouldn't even notice. Like, it wouldn't even be something that makes any sort of difference to anybody in the congregation here. But anyways, food, and kind of subconsciously, when I'm in Southeast Asia, and I feel like, okay, this is, and I really do feel like Southeast Asia and Burma and Thailand is home now. I've kind of put roots down there. But there's always this feeling of like you don't quite belong here, and then you come back and you don't quite belong here in North America. And food is this way that just brings you comfort from a place that you feel like you belong, somewhere that you don't feel like you have comfort or belonging in where the location you are. And food is that place or that gap, that bridge that brings you back home. Mother's cooking. And I love having meals with friends and family members and supporters and people back in North America when I'm home. And the inclination, it's always funny because the inclination for people, and I totally get it, is often, you're probably so sick of rice, you're probably so sick of Thai food, and I would rather, let's cook you a steak. I'm going to cook you a baked potato and a nice steak and some vegetables on the grill. And don't get me wrong, I love a good steak. But it's actually not what I'm craving for when I'm here. What I'm often craving for when I'm here is like a nice, amazing, authentic Thai dish. And if they really want to cook a steak for me, then they should come over and cook it in Thailand for me. But it's funny, and it's kind of emblematic of this idea that we're craving for a place that is home, a place that is where we really belong. And we try to we try to satisfy that craving with food sometimes, at least I do. And as a result, my weight goes up and down like crazy throughout the year because I just love food. I love sharing a meal with people. It's one of my favorite things. I love pizza, and I love wine and cheese in the afternoon. And and so I love these things, but we all have these cravings because we don't belong here in this earth. We belong to the kingdom of heaven. We belong in a different realm, and we're here temporarily as refugees and as IDPs, and we can all live in that environment, and we don't quite feel comfortable here because we actually belong in God's kingdom, and we actually belong in a different place, eating different food in a different home. Next week or this weekend after counseling here, I'm heading down to Phoenix. I'm visiting some of my great friends, Mike and DJ and Will and Susie, and they are like the best. They're some of the best people on the planet. And I'll try to get Mike on the podcast. He's hard to pin down, but in reality, one of the smartest guys, and just his experiences and life story and just the grit of his life is worth telling and sharing with you guys. So I'll try to get Mike on the podcast, but not sure it'll happen. So no promises there. But I just love being there. And then after that, I'm off to visit my friends Barry and Lucy in North Carolina. And it's so funny. I was on this mission a number of years ago, and it was a hard mission, a long mission. And we walked maybe 100 miles on this mission. And on the way back, it's a long story, but I ended up getting some of our team members. They broke into a Burmese controlled and Chinese controlled uranium mine and stole a bunch of uranium. And then I had like 20 kilos of uranium in my backpack. Dumb, just a bunch of rocks, carrying rocks 100 miles through the Burmese jungle. And anyways, I got back to our base camp, and Barry, my friend who I'm going to visit in next week in North Carolina, he was there at our base camp, and it was so funny because he had this food, and he said, "Oh man, you guys have had such a long walk and such a hard thing," and I was so hungry for anything that was not just plain rice, because for 2 days we had literally just been eating plain rice, and so he said, "Okay, tonight I'm going to cook you Spam." And I don't know if up till this point in my life I'd ever eaten Spam before. And he said, "I'm going to make you Cajun fried Spam." And I tell you, there are steaks that melt in your mouth that I've eaten in Italy, cooked over an open fire I can picture it in my mind, this beautiful steak we had at Lake Garda. And this Cajun fried spam was almost on equal footing to these Italian steaks. And he had this risotto, I think it was from Minnesota, that he had brought all the way into Burma. And you like dump the package into a pot and add water and cook it down. And we had this risotto and Cajun fried spam. And again, it was like almost worthy of tears because it was just so amazing, so delicious to eat this amazing food and this awesome meal after such a long and hard mission. On that mission, we were way out and we were up in the borderlands between Karenni State and Karen, kind of 2nd Brigade Karen State area. And we were in this village, and like the people in this village were crazy. And I came into the village, and some of you may have heard this story before, but I came into the village, and that day my stomach was like just a little bit off. I had, I don't know, something just wasn't sitting well in my stomach. And I came into the village and I said, okay, nice to meet you. Hi, everybody, blah, 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 blah. Okay, where is your toilet? I needed to use your toilet. And they kind of shook their head and said, no. And I said, well, what do you mean, no? He said, no, we don't have a toilet. And I said, okay, what about the school or the church? It's not super common in a remote village that every house has a toilet. But usually the church or the temple or the school would have, like, there would be like a community toilet. And they said, no, there's no toilet anywhere in our village. And so I said, okay, what? And they just kind of like motioned to the vastness of the jungle and said, there you go. And I said, okay. And this wasn't my first rodeo. And so I was fairly used to the fact of like, okay, you just go into the bush. And anyways, and so as I was leaving, they said, wait. And someone came running over me and gave me this big stick, like kind of like a big branch. And I was like, what do I need this for? But okay, I'll take it. And I go into the jungle and I find my little spot and I squat down and I'm doing my business. And suddenly the bushes start ruffling or shaking around me. And I can hear there's things moving in the bushes. And I was thinking, oh man, what is this? What's going on? And then suddenly all these pigs started darting out, and they would one by one start darting in towards my backside to eat, to get their food. This is a podcast about food, so here we go. And I quickly realized what the stick, the club is for, and I started swinging. And as I'd swing at one pig and like knock him away, and another one would come in from the other side, and you quickly finish your business and get your pants pulled up before a pig bites onto something that they shouldn't be biting onto. And before I had time to even like take a few steps away, the pigs were like in there and had eaten everything, and very gross, very disgusting. And I was just in total shock about this. And I walked back, like, what happened? I was walking back towards the village, and I'm just like, kind of like, oh my goodness, did this really just happen? And I walk into the house where we're staying, and they're frying up this food in the kitchen. And I said, oh, what are you cooking? And they said, oh, we killed a pig for you, and we're cooking a pig. And I was just like, oh my goodness, like the circle of life was a little bit too small in this moment. And this was actually one of the very first, maybe the second time in my life where I thought I could probably be a vegetarian. But that didn't last long because I do love pork, but it was just disgusting, totally gross. And another food story that I'll share. And again, you've probably heard this before, but I used to be terrified of spiders. And I came in and I was hanging up my hammock in the jungle this one time. And as I was hanging up my hammock and tying up the rope, I noticed that there was this massive, big banana spider. We call them banana spiders. And banana spiders we call them banana spiders because they have a hard yellow shell on the back. And then they have these long, as long as your finger, if not longer than my fingers, and knuckly legs, and they've got these like knuckles on them. And when banana spider falls on you, it wraps these knuckly legs around you and like holds on. And even if you try to like bash it off or wipe it off or flick it off, he holds you with these knuckly, I don't know, what do you call them? Legs, I guess. And so I was tying this hammock up and I was just like, oh my goodness, there's this massive banana spider, like bigger than my hand. It's right there in front of me. And I was just petrified, frozen in place. And after a few seconds, this young Burmese guy walks by me and I kind of was like, look at this thing. And I pointed at the spider and he comes over and he looks at it and he's got this little grin on his face. And he just casually reaches up into the web and grabs the banana spider in his hand. And I can see the legs of the spider kind of between his fingers, like going crazy, trying to grab on and hold on to something. And he just looks at me with a smile on his face. And then he pulls the hard shell off the back of the banana spider and just gives me a quick look. And then he pops the whole thing in his mouth. And I could see, and he's just chewing and smiling. And the whole thing for him was just like, oh, thank you so much for sharing your spider with me. Thank you that you offered that to me. I'm so glad you called me over that I could eat this snack that you wanted to share with me. And he just gives me this cute, innocent smile. And I can see the legs of the spider like in his teeth. And he just casually turns away and walks off. And so in Burma, the food situation is not like Italy sometimes. But I do crave it. I do love it. And it does make me feel like I'm at home when I'm there. And it actually, this moment with the spider, I think that was a turning point for me in my fear of spiders. Cause I just kind of realized like, if you can just eat it, you don't really need to be afraid of it. A couple of weeks ago, I was in Chiang Mai and I was having breakfast with my friend Kevin, and one of the smartest people I know on this planet. And we were just talking about the year and talking about the school year at JDS and what an awesome year it was. And I was just sharing some stories with him. And, one of the hardest things we did. So one of the things we did was we did a vision for your future. And we spent a whole week with the students trying to craft a vision for your future. And they had such a hard time with this. And at first I was like, yeah, okay, I guess I'm not that surprised, but I thought by the end of the week they would get it. And some of them did, but for the most part, they really just struggled with this idea of creating a vision statement or having a vision for their future. And the following week we were in grief, and we were talking about grief, and obviously grief has to do with loss. And we were naming some of the things we've lost. And several of the students named their dreams, and they had no ability to dream. And I think it was maybe they were wrestling with it, or they was just chewing in their mind because, they were being tasked to craft a vision for their future. And it was so hard for them because their ability to dream about being something or becoming something or doing something or going somewhere had been taken away, and had been taken away by the war. And so one of the things that the students named as loss was their dreams, their loss of dreams. And I found it really interesting and actually quite heartbreaking, especially because I've always been a bit of a dreamer. For those of you that have tracked with me for a while, or read my first book, The Wandering Leader, you'll know, like, I had this dream, like, okay, I'm going to be a hockey player. I'm going to be an athlete. I'm going to be in the NHL. I'm going to be a coach. I'm going to be these things. And like, I've always just had this ability to be a bit of a dreamer. And, I like to encourage people to chase their dreams and to follow what they're passionate about. And when it's so hard for the young people in Burma to know what they're passionate about, to find their passion. And so anyways, I was having a breakfast with Kevin a few weeks ago, and his family, he's got an awesome family. And we were just talking about this, and Kevin's a psychologist in training, and he just brought up this study and was telling me about the study about it's actually, from a psychological standpoint, you don't have an ability to dream unless you know where your food is coming from. And there's a few other things in there. There's a few other factors that kind of play into this. But you need some basics around you. You need security of your home. You need security of your food to know. You need to know where your money is coming from. And Maslow, so those of you who studied this in school, maybe Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but like you have your physiological needs, food, water, air, shelter, and then you have your safety, security needs, which is your like financial needs, your health, your nutrition, and stability. You need stability in your life. And in Burma, we often have a hard time classifying people as an IDP, an internally displaced person. And the terminology that I would use is unstable populations, because a lot of people are forced to flee from their home. They'll go and they'll sleep in the jungle, and then they'll return to their home during the day, kind of tend to things, but they're not able to stay at their home because it's not safe at nighttime. And so they live in this unstable population, and there's no stability in their lives there. And then if you continue in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you have love and belonging and social connections. And in the last 3 or 4 years, it's been war nonstop. And you have social connections with your fellow soldiers, your comrades, but then you also, on the same time, you have an incredibly high amount of death and grief. At FBR right now, the rate of loss about one of their rangers is about one per month right now. They lose about 12 rangers a year. And once you get these things where you have social connections, love and belonging, you have your safety needs and your physiological needs met, after that, then and only after that, then you can get into your self-respect, recognition, your esteem needs. And then you can get into self-actualization as you're achieving your potential and dreaming of the future. And you're not able to dream of your future if you don't know where your meal is going to come from tomorrow. And that's just the reality of life in Burma. I didn't realize this at the time, but the importance of us providing 3 meals a day to our students was way bigger than just giving them food and nutrition. It actually had to do with giving them security and stability. It had to do with giving them a place in a psychological foundation that would allow them to say, like, okay, I can now dream about my future. I can now start to have an idea and think about it. And this takes time. Like you get a week or 2 of meals, and this doesn't just go away. Like this takes months and months and months. And kind of by the end of our time at JDS, I was seeing our students come alive, and I was seeing our students start to think about their future in different ways. And there's so many factors that go into it, but I really believe one of the factors that goes into that is just food. And it's so funny because I had, and this is an FBRism, a Free Burma Ranger thing that I took, where the mentality is kind of like, okay, if you're doing something physical that day, if you're on a mission and you're walking, or if you're doing a program in a village that's usually very physical, or if you're doing an exercise or something like that, then you can eat lunch. But if you're not doing a physical day, if it's just kind of a classroom day, then it's a 2 meal a day thing, breakfast and dinner. And you don't need to eat lunch because you're just not burning the calories. And food is not easy. It's always a challenge in Burma, and it's expensive. And so in the beginning of JDS, we had this revolt almost because I had gone to a 2 meal system. I thought, you're just sitting in the classroom all day and you don't need lunch. And I'm trying to save money here. And there was like this revolt one weekend where the students were like having this protest because they were mad because we weren't giving them lunch. And so I was like, okay, we'll buy lunch and you guys just figure it out. And we ended up lunch kind of sorted itself out as we provided the food for it. But there was just this thing inside of our students that they wanted to know that they had food. And food, arguably food is our biggest expense. And I sometimes I joke about this, that as we try to raise money for JDS and JDS2 and the training that's happening right now, food is not really like this sexy thing to donate to. Like, people want to donate to medicine and Bibles and motorcycles, and like they want to donate to things that are like cool. And donating to food is not really that cool. It's kind of like, meh, okay, yeah, there's nothing else. Everything else is taken. And so I guess I'll give to general funds and they can use it for food. But, and that was honestly my mentality. And so I kind of joke about it, but I think about it now in a whole different way and think like, dude, that is actually one of the greatest things that we've been able to offer to the students, is 3 meals a day for 9 or 10 months, where they can start to let their guard down and not have to freak out and not have to worry internally. No, tomorrow I will have rice. And even, I thought, okay, there were a few times this year where I said to the students like, hey, we have enough money to buy food for this month, but next month I don't know where food is coming from, and we got to pray about it. And so we prayed about it, and money came in. But as I reflected on it, I actually expected that to be a more regular thing, and it wasn't a very regular thing, because I just felt like it was a gift from God that people were providing money, and we always had enough money to buy food. And I just felt like, okay, God knows that He's trying to get to their hearts. He's trying to access something in them, and He's not going to be able to get to those places unless they know they've got food. And they don't need to freak out. They don't need to worry about, hey, next month we might not have food. Next month, I don't know if we're going to be out of rice. And this is exactly what life is like in Burma. And we were able to provide rice and food for some of our students' families, and because they literally had no rice. And for those of you who have tracked with us, Guna is my dear friend with one leg, and we built this house last year. You can watch the JDS TV show about that. But like, he literally has contacted me and said like, dude, I have no rice left. And so we've been able to provide rice for his family. And then Daichi, for those of you who know Daichi and have tracked with that story, we've kind of committed that, and he's got this massive family, like 12 people living in the house. And so it's a lot of rice, but we've been able to say to him like, hey man, we're going to provide rice for your family because we love you, and we just feel like we're connected to your family, and your family's connected to us. And so we've been able to provide rice to them and pay for all the food. And just something like giving somebody food security is so healing, and it's healing in such a different way than we can even imagine. And the other part of nutrition and food, and so at JDS, it's our biggest expense. We're spending roughly $1,000 a week on food. So it's a lot of money. It's pretty crazy. And we have good food at JDS. We have mostly vegetables. The villagers next door to us, they learned pretty quick that if they killed a cow or killed a goat or killed a whatever, that they could bring us 6 or 7 kilos of meat, and we would probably buy it from them, and a good way for them to sell things. And so we would have people usually show up once or twice a week, and we'd be able to buy meat. But for the rest of the week, it's pretty much a vegetarian meal, and very delicious. I like it. We do eat a lot of fish as well, and then if the students can hunt or find anything in the jungle, then we'll eat that as well. But yeah, just to be able to have food security, and we live next to this IDP camp that has 3,500 IDPs living in it, and they relied on U.S. aid, who was through different groups providing rice. which they would buy 800 sacks of rice per month to feed 3,500 people. And a sack of rice is roughly 1,000 Thai baht. And so they're using 800,000 Thai baht per month to feed this IDP camp. And that money previously was coming through USAID and is now completely dried up. The money is gone, and they have rice for the IDPs until next month, and then they're out of rice. And it's so funny because we're running this training right now, and they're saying to us like, hey, we want to donate rice to your training because we're so thankful that you're running this training. And I'm really like, I feel a little guilty about it, but I'm also thankful that they've made this offer because, I'm low on money right now and it's expensive to run this training, but they're so thankful that we're running this training that even though they don't know where their food is coming from next month, I've said like, hey, okay, we want to give you rice and supply the rice for your training. And really amazing thing. But we get a shipment of vegetables every week and eggs, and just we have good nutrition, I think, a balanced nutritional diet on our campus. And then we started noticing towards the end of the school year, some of our students in the second semester, they shot up like 4 or 5 inches. And our students are, 19, 20, 21, 22, mid 20s. And their growth spurt technically is kind of over at that point. But suddenly their bodies were getting proper nutrition, and their bodies were saying, oh, I can use this nutrition and I can keep growing another 4 inches here. And we had a student who, he was 19, one of our younger students, but he literally grew like 6 inches in the last semester of JDS. And I really just think it's because he was getting regular nutrition. And so anyways, the nutrition, the food, the growth, like most of our students would come from a place of borderline malnutrition, but more so from a psychological place. They come from a place of not knowing where their next meal will come from. Many of their families don't know where their next meal is coming from. And just that we're able to provide for some of those things towards the end of JDS, the last 6-7 weeks of JDS. And I talked about this on a previous podcast, but we had like 8, I call them strays or random people that just kind of moved into campus and just said like, hey, I want to be here. I just like being around you guys. And one of the guys said, I like literally just don't have any food in the refugee camp. And if it's okay, I just want to stay here and eat with you guys. And, one of the things we do is on Saturdays, we have family dinner, and all the staff cook for the students. And then we sit around the table and we eat together and we laugh and we joke and we reflect on the week. And, we just kind of wrap up the week with this great, delicious meal. Usually involves some meat in that meal. And the students love it, that the fact that the staff have cooked for them, and they get a real kick out of that. But it's just this time of community together and security together. And as I've been reflecting on discipleship and mentoring and fathering, it's, one of the things a father provides is protection. And a very simple way is just to have food on the table. And so I've been reflecting on that this week, and I'm just so thankful for those of you guys that donate to JDS, that have donated so generously to provide food for us. And like I've mentioned, we're running this training right now. The official kickoff was today actually, and we'll be training for another 5 weeks. And we've got 45 students that we're running the Alpha course for, sharing the gospel with, running Devos, and then giving them advanced medical. We've got a surgeon coming to teach advanced medical training to them. We've got a psychologist coming to teach trauma care and give them some tools for trauma. We've got this kind of civil disobedience leader, a CDM leader, who's coming to teach them about nation building and human rights. And then we've got our staff that are leading them through leadership and PT and land navigation. And anyways, I just think we've got a great training in store for these 45 people. It's a super great relationship building thing. It's a super cool way to share about JDS, JDS2, and share the gospel with them, to these 45 soldiers that, that normally wouldn't get a chance to hear the gospel. And one of the things that is annoying to me, I don't really think about it, but just that they can get 5 weeks of nutrition. They can get 5 weeks of safety and security and love and nutrition. And up until now, and just as I've been unpacking this, I haven't really realized the importance of it from a psychological and healing standpoint in their bodies, in their minds, in their hearts, in their trauma, in their ability to say, okay, I can start to think about what's next for me because I know where my meal is going to come from tomorrow. And it's just, it's amazing that Jesus says, he takes a loaf of bread and he breaks it and he says, this is my body broken for you. Eat it in remembrance of me. And he's saying that we can actually find our nutrition in him. We can find our food security in him. And yeah, it's just interesting to think about that. But anyways, food today on the podcast, some stories about food. And we still have a big need for this training financially in order to provide good food for them. This training was not something I had budgeted for or planned for financially, but it was presented. Jala had the idea to do it, and we prayed together and we prayed about it. And we just felt like, okay, do it. We'll trust God that this is the right thing for us. And to be able to provide vegetables and meat and all the training equipment and shoes and, shirts and just the gear that they need to run a training for 5 weeks for 45 people and about 20 staff. It's just a lot of money. And so it's just not something I had budgeted for. But anyways, so we do have a financial need. If you're listening to this and you feel led to support that, we're trying to raise about $4,000. And we've got a couple donations for that already, and I'm super thankful for that. But you can do that through our website, or you can email me, or do it on the junglediscipleshipschool.com/give, and be super thankful for any support in that. But anyways, that's enough for today. Maybe all this talk of food has made you hungry, and steward your body well. Your body is a temple and you're supposed to steward it well. And so just be putting good things into it and try to take care of it. And as I try to recover from my back, whatever's going on there, my back injury, that I'll try to take care of my body too. And okay, love you guys. Hope to see you all soon. And thanks for being with us. God bless you.